in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints falling to the Carolina Panthers in just brutal fashion yesterday, 23-22. That's what bad teams do. They find ways to lose games that you got no real business losing, and the Saints just coughed and gave that one away. Early on, Chris Olave was taken off the field after just another concussion, which, we had Nick Underhill on last week, and Underhill said it was going to be really starting to be tough to cover the Saints because of what was going on with Olave as many times as he had been concussed throughout his career. What is this, the fourth concussion with the Saints?
Fourth, I believe, in the NFL. I think he's had at least two in college also. So you're getting to like almost to a territory where you start to concern for like the well-being of the person.
And yesterday was brutal. I mean, he was exposed, his head, his body. It was a shot from the safety that put him down to the ground. It was a horribly thrown ball by Derek Carr that really put him up in a situation that just had him wide open as far as his body and his head is concerned, and was taken down and was carted off the field. It was a tough situation to watch. It's a tough situation to now follow, a lot like the Tua situation when you watch and kind of cringe and watching him play football. It's kind of the same feeling you now have around one of the bright and young stars for the Saints is, that's a lot of head injuries for a young guy who is, giving his body up every weekend, and to see him carted off yesterday was tough. And
he did tweet, "Thank God, appreciate all the love and prayers. I'll be all right."
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and
right,
that stuff feels, a lot more serious than we might be recognizing immediately in the moment. But the Saints in general are an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, they are the bottom dwellers of the NFL. They have no confidence. They are structurally fractured. There was video yesterday of Cam Jordan not walking back into the locker room. He's sick and tired of going in there. Derek Carr's walking down the corridor trying to bring him back. You got Dennis Allen in the post-game press conference not really knowing and understanding how to explain anything. I mean, that fourth down call at the end of the game, that's insubordination in the NFL. I mean, really. I mean, to have the resources, the time to spend as much in preparation as the NFL coaches, staffers, players do, and then get to the moment, get to the game, and have it on the line and make that call is a fireable offense, in my opinion.
One of many.
And as I tweeted yesterday, and I know it was the sentiment, and it's things that we've talked about a lot leading up to this weekend, Dennis Allen is a spoke in the wheel of a losing franchise right now. He is not the reason. He is one of the reasons. He is not the sole reason that New Orleans is just suffering as much as they are right now on the field. It goes way beyond Dennis Allen and the head coach seat. So moving on Dennis Allen is only going to mask what the real problem of the Saints are. And as we talked about last week, and as we've talked about kind of leading into the season, I don't know what the realistic option is of getting out of the trouble that the Saints are in, because I don't know the intent of what Gayle Benson's outlook of the franchise is. If it's a sellable franchise and it can be bought, well, then the Saints can be back in a relatively nice amount of time. If you can get an ownership group in here that sees the potential, goes in, brings in the correct people to make the right moves, and support the franchise to be a winner, the Saints have proven The city will worship the franchise. The ticket buyers will be there for decades and on waiting lists if you just show them that you care. And it could turn into as great of a story as the NFL has, as it has proven to be. But in the state that it's in right now, and make no mistake about it, it is at a place that is, they're the worst franchise in the league right now, arguably. I thought Carolina was. They went to Carolina yesterday and gave them the game. So if we're just kind of looking at the law of these two teams matching up against one another, it looks like the Saints are in a worse spot than Carolina is. Now, Las Vegas might have a little something to say about that. They look like they're in a bad spot. They fired their offensive coordinator last night. They're reeling. Maybe it's the Raiders. But here's the deal. The Saints are in the discussion of the worst franchise in the league. And listen to what I'm saying. It's not that they're the worst team in the league right now. They might be. They're the worst franchise in the league. They're horribly run. They have people out of place. They have an owner that is out of touch, that is not in the facility every day, that does not have a pulse of what's going on, and has obviously made a deal with the current structure, the current people of the administration of the Saints, that their job is, in my opinion, the safest I've ever seen in professional sports. I've never seen a franchise that has so many people that are allowed to be so bad at their job with no consequences like the Saints have structured in how they operate right now. It is beyond obvious that the lawsuit, the court battle that played out publicly years ago between Benson, his family, and one side was Gail, Mickey Loomis, and the Saints. The other side was Rita Benson LeBlanc, his daughter and family. Gail won the court battle, and this is what she got. And in that deal, they obviously made some deal with Loomis and crew that if we win, you're in forever. Because there is no threat, seemingly, that Mickey Loomis has any consequence of suffering any type of pushback from up top for how bad of a situation the Saints are in. The Saints are in a miserable, miserable place when it comes to the NFL. They're $75 million plus over the cap. They have a talent evaluation problem that looks right now years to fix. They're old. They can't evaluate. They can't find talent. They've now become unattractive to talent. And you've got a person in place in Mickey Loomis who really doesn't have, he doesn't answer to anybody. There's no threat. There's no consequence. There's nobody overseeing him and saying, man, you are terrible at your job. You either need to move aside or you could lose your job. There's no threat of that. In the NFL, the edge is razor sharp on winning, losing, production, keeping your job, and fighting to stay in that league. That does not exist with the New Orleans Saints. There's no consequence to anybody in a administrative role that has to answer for missing on draft picks, for signing free agents to dumb contracts, to mismanaging the salary cap every single year. Every year. Like, I respect what Loomis was doing during those championship runs with Breeze, Peyton, and trying to make a run at it and win a Super Bowl. but not to realize that you have to rebuild this thing, or you're just going to keep digging a hole that's deeper and deeper and deeper. And at some point, you're going to have to work yourself out of it. But if Mickey Loomis is the guy that tries to work the New Orleans Saints out of this, it will be a decade before the Saints sniff anything of relevance in the NFL. I have absolutely no confidence, no trust, no desire for Mickey Loomis to have any type of control of what happens with the Saints. I mean, it's easy to laugh at that press conference when he came out with the cue card, spinning around on his chair and smacking the gum, but like, this is the franchise you're talking about now, and that's the guy in control. That cannot happen. The only types of personalities that Mickey Loomis can hire are people like Dennis Allen who have no say-so. Dennis Allen's not pushing back on anything that's happening on top of him because he knows he's lucky as hell to have the job. So his marching orders are, you just say yes to everything you hear. You go out there, take the bullets for the press conferences and from the public and from the media, and you'll keep your job. I don't think Dennis Allen is in any trouble. Zero. If the season ended today, they'd bring him back next year. Because if they open it up and they got to really sit down and interview people that they have to bring in and try and be a head coach, there's only probably a selected pool of people in the league that understand, like, this is going to be the deal. You're not going to have the authority that 31 other head coaches have. You're a yes man. You understand that the people on top of you are, they're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall. I mean, some of the draft picks, the free agent signings, the salary cap mismanagement, I mean, all of it is just key indicators of poorly run, mismanaged, out of touch franchise. I mean, it is so bad. And I mean, I don't mean to but I mean, it's being in the Dome last time versus Denver to what it could look like in Atlanta, or what it could look like with Atlanta coming into town on Sunday. I mean, if you're going, pack a flask, bring your waters, bring your drinks, pack your pretzels and chips in your purse. I mean, do not buy anything. Don't buy merchandise. Don't buy concessions. If you want your voice to be heard, that's what the New Orleans say. That's what Loomis is banking on. That's why he's been able to get away with this since Peyton and Breeze left for the last 5 years. Of revolving doors of quarterbacks, revolving doors of free agents, revolving doors of mediocre to sub-average football. The reason why he's able to get away with it is because the place is printing money. The tickets are still selling. The merchandise is still flying off the racks. People are still showing up and buying concessions. I mean, like, it's gotten to that point, in my opinion, where they don't hear you. They don't care. Like, I had somebody in my mentions when I tweeted out something yesterday about, I tweeted yesterday after the game that firing Dennis Allen does nothing to move the franchise forward. If the Saints move anyone, it has to be Mickey Loomis, or it doesn't matter. They will not do that. Get your bags out, Who Dat Nation. I had somebody tweet at me and say, actually, that's a terrible take. If anything, it shows this ownership cares about the fans and the team. Like saying if they would move on Dennis Allen. This guy's name is Aaron LeClaire, who tweeted at me, right after I put that out, and I put back to him, Aaron, buddy, you're the guy that they are feasting off of. Like, you haven't realized by now, they don't give a damn about the fans. They could give a damn about the people that support the franchise. They've been banking on people like you who cannot see that signing Derek Carr, that drafting the Foskey kid in the second round, that being $75 million above the cap again, and still show up and still buy a jersey and still complain online that you believe they care about you, the fan. They don't give a damn about the fans. And it's nothing that I've been told. I'm just looking at their work. If they cared about the fans, they wouldn't sign Derek Carr to that guaranteed deal. They wouldn't draft the bums that they do in the draft like they have over the past couple of seasons. They would have somebody in-house that truly knew how to manage the salary cap in the NFL. Those are just three prime examples. You can start digging into the Saints and realize, like, whoa, this place is a wreck. This thing's a mess. I mean, the one true way to fix it is she needs to sell it. I mean, because I don't trust the fact that she can make any moves on Loomis. I think they're too almost legally tied into one another of all the business dealings they're partners on, that the Saints is just part of the portfolio, that it's a moneymaker. It's a bottom line deal for them. It's not competing to win in the NFL. It's definitely not that. And if Loomis makes this move or any move, it's another 2 to 3 year setback. The more Loomis touches, the more deeper into the abyss the Saints franchise falls. I mean, Mickey Loomis is out of touch. He's got no idea, it feels like, of what is going on.
Oh,
I mean, that example, the press conference is a great example, but now that the season has started and you're at the legit midway point. Sunday was the midway point of the NFL regular season. Saints are the worst team in the league. If they're not, they're in the discussion. I mean, and again, they may be the worst team in the league this year. They're definitely the worst franchise in the league this year. They feel like the 1980s. They feel like the 1990s. I mean, if you were a Saints fan, this is a lot what it felt like. Like, you never had a chance, and not only did you never have a chance, it was not even close. This is first pick in the draft type stuff, which if Loomis makes that choice, he's going to screw it up. He's going to screw it up. I mean, he's going to screw it up. That's where they are, man, in my opinion.
You said he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I don't think any of this is without incident. I think he's just using it, like you said, as a moneymaker. He doesn't care if the Saints win or lose. He's there to make a profit. He's running it as a business. It's just fun for him to make money and look at the bottom line every time. Like, I've heard, it's kind of like the Chicago Bulls. They do the same thing. They know you're going to go because you care about the team and you want them to do well. Regardless if they win or lose, you're still going to go. That's the only thing that's going to stop them from ever even overhauling this thing is if they don't make money anymore. Right. This is just a bottom line business for them. They don't care about the team. They don't care about you.
No.
They just, hey, Sunday's here, cool.
Yeah, it's worse than it looks on the field, and it's the worst in the league on the field. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you